I have very little respect for people who have children and then allow their mates to hurt the kids or even participate in it. Have zero respect for that. I think these people getting a life sentence, both of them need a life sentence, would be the only suitable judgment for what they did to this little kid in this story. Awesome little kid, very innocent, small. But before we get into the details, let me give you guys a disclaimer about my content. But I'm reading from two different websites so y'all know, because there was a judgment that she just got. So she's got sentenced already. But then we got to get to the man. So let's get into these details. Let's get it. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. So the first website we're reading from is WSMV.com. So thank you for the article. We'll get to the next one here in a second. A Springfield woman has been sentenced to life in prison. So y'all know it's pretty serious. For the brutal death of a 5-year-old boy, according to Smoky Barn News. In March, a 26-year-old by the name of Shannon Elliott was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, which sounds like it was premeditated, right? First-degree murder usually signifies premeditated. And 3 counts of aggravated child abuse, neglect, and endangerment. The boy, whose name is Turner Simpkins, if I can get his whole name, his full name is Turner Wayne Simpkins. Let me get the little boy up on the screen. We'll talk about that fool here in a second. Let me see. I don't know if I have a solo picture of him. Look at this little boy. Innocent young man. Good looking, handsome kid. Could have grown up to become anything if they would have just allowed him and did their responsibility as parents to watch him grow up and become something. Turner Wayne Simpkins was the boy who was 5 years old. He was found dead at his home on Poplar Ridge Road in July of 2023. Now, the investigation revealed that the child had died from chronic blunt force injuries and malnutrition. Simpkins' death was ruled as a homicide. So, of course, they had to research and find out what was going on. Elliot, the girlfriend of the boy's father, hashtag dad's girlfriend, wonder where the biological mother is, but dad's girlfriend, she was responsible for his murder according to TBI. She pled no contest to the charges in Simpkins' death and was sentenced this week. During the hearing, graphic details were laid out about Simpkins' injuries, so brace yourselves for this. Evidence presented by prosecution revealed that Elliot would often take Turner to work with her, where she was captured on surveillance video over several months, abusing the child, according to TBI and to the TBI investigation. Turner was filmed on surveillance video at work from May 2nd of 2023 to July 19th of 2023, a period of 79 days. And it sounds like they got 79 days of evidence. The TBI scoured the recordings and documented numerous instances where Elliot struck, hit, punched, slapped, kicked, bit, strangled, or even threw Turner Wayne Simpkins. Keep in mind, this is not a teenager. He's 5. 5. For all the people who believe in corporal punishment, how the F do you justify that? What can a baby do to deserve all of that? What can a baby do to deserve any level of physical discipline? I think none. I think if you physically discipline kids, you're just being lazy. To physically inflict damage is not going to exude respect. It's actually going to inflict fear. Let me say that again. It's not going to exude respect like most people think. It is going to inflict fear in a child and pain and fear are synonymous. Using my $5 words today. They don't intend for it to be that way, which is what most people do when it comes to corporal punishment. But in this case, I don't think she really gave a damn. It wasn't her kid, and that little boy probably looks like a mix of his dad and his mom. So she's seeing the face of the woman that this man just got through sleeping with 5 years ago, or a little over 5 years ago, and made this baby with. He probably favors his mom, and she probably hated this little boy. Selfish ass people. That's why I tell y'all, if y'all got young, vulnerable kids, don't bring your kids around your mate, or just don't date. Focus on your kid. If you're a loving parent, focus on your kid. Remember I said that. They scoured the recordings and documented numerous instances where this woman absolutely just abused this kid over time. The judge found Elliott guilty of felony murder and aggravated child abuse, for which she was sentenced to life in prison. Life in prison with the possibility of parole. Boo, boo on that part. However, the judge told her, based on what I've learned today, it's unlikely, in my opinion, that you are ever going to see the outside based on what happened to this child. But I don't like that. I don't even want the possibility. Now, let's go on to this boy's neglectful, terrible father. Y'all better talk about the biological father. Why people think I don't get on to both parents? Oh, trust me, I do. I don't like any and all bad parents. Hashtag TTO. She don't deserve reproductive organs or rights. Let's talk about this beautiful baby boy's dad, who didn't protect him, who failed him. This goddamn clown right here. The father of a Cheatham County 5-year-old who I'm reading this from Tennessean.com. Tennessean.com. Thank you very much. The father of a Cheatham County 5-year-old who state prosecutors say was tortured to death by his father's girlfriend. He is now facing his own charges in connection with this case. Do you know why a lot of these things are happening? In my humble opinion, I like to take credit for things that maybe I didn't participate in. But considering how many views this channel got, I would like to believe that somebody is listening. I like to believe somebody is listening to our voice, to our channel, to our people, sharing it, and all of that type of stuff. I have always said, if you take your kids to the thug zoo and the thug lion murders and mauls your kid, then you as the parent who led your kid or left your kid with the thug lion should be held accountable too. How many of you guys have heard me say that? How long have I been saying that? That both people who see something and don't say something, know about abuse, don't report abuse, or choose their lover over their child should be held accountable for the demise of that child. You're starting to see more and more people being held accountable, and I appreciate that. Austin Gordon Simpkins was taken into custody Monday after a grand jury indicted him on aggravated child abuse or aggravated child neglect and 3 counts of child abuse, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said in a news release. Simpkins' son, Turner Wayne Simpkins, was found dead in their Poplar Ridge home in Chapman Borough on July 23rd of 2023. So these cases take a little while, so we're almost 2 years removed from that. Shannon Lee Elliott, the girlfriend of the boy's father, was indicted in March on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of aggravated child abuse in connection with the case. She entered no contest plea, meaning she did not admit guilt but didn't deny it either, to contest the state's evidence against her to the charge of first-degree murder and 2 counts of child abuse in July. During the investigation, detectives learned the abuse Turner suffered likely lasted for months. An autopsy on the boy revealed bruising, cuts, bite marks on his body. Security cameras at Elliott's place of employment captured many abusive incidents, including Elliott slapping, punching, kicking, biting, strangling the child, TBI agents testified in court. Can you be that level of effing stupid? I caught myself. that level of stupid to not know that your workplace has cameras. And I'm kind of glad she didn't know, didn't realize, or didn't think that anybody was going to give a damn. But here's another thing that concerns me. Here's what I just refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that if they caught this on camera, I don't know if they have security agents there watching. You mean to tell me nobody, no other employees, nobody in that building, nobody else saw anything? Just wondering. I'm just wondering. Well, I'm spilling stuff. Nobody else saw anything. I just refuse to believe that. So if you on camera can have other witnesses to people there who saw something and didn't say anything, I think they should be investigated. At least they should be scared of potentially doing some prison time. Maybe they should be, let me not say that because that might be a little bit of abuse. So let me not say that. But I do think that if you see a crime and don't report a crime, if they see that on video, you should have to at least face a judge for that. If nothing else, that should at least be a misdemeanor. Because that's ridiculous that nobody else saw nothing. Now, Austin Simpkins has not made any reports of such abuse nor attempted to stop the abuse, the news release said. Simpkins was booked into the Cheatham County Jail on a $500,000 bond, and I'm glad that they thought that this was serious enough to give a bond to that amount. Elliot, the girlfriend, was sentenced to life in prison. So again, if anybody else participated in this, saw something and didn't say anything, and I'm glad people are saying see something, say something, make sure when it comes to these kids, y'all got to call and y'all got to report it. Let me give you guys the fair usage. Here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. For those who are watching right now, if you would do me a favor, all you got to do is click that thumbs up. I want y'all to share these stories because they mean so much, not only to the memory of these babies, but also getting justice. It gets the message out there. More people can see it and understand that this is the type of thing that should dominate the news and not celebrity news. That stuff don't matter. It does not matter when it comes to our kids because it could be one of y'all kids. It could be your neighbor. It could be one of your family members. And you would be on there on those news conferences begging for people to share your story. How would you feel if nobody gave a damn? Think about that if you were in these situations. Let's get it.
The woman who put him through his horrible final months was his father's girlfriend, who was sentenced for her role in the young boy's death. But now the father is facing his own charges for what he didn't do to protect his son. The gruesome case unfolded in July of 2023 when 5-year-old Turner Simpkins was found dead inside his home. Prosecutors say emergency responders tried to treat Turner, but he was cold to touch. His body reportedly dropped to 86 degrees and he was limp. At the time of Turner's death, he was in the care of his father's girlfriend, Shannon Elliott. Elliott reportedly told investigators the 5-year-old was out of town the weekend before his death, visiting his mom. But when Elliott picked him up and they arrived to their home, she claimed Turner unbuckled his seat, opened the car door, and then fell out of a moving car. She claimed Turner told her he wasn't hurt, but he got scratches from it. However, prosecutors poked holes in that supposed story. They argued the car seat she claims he fell from was still inside the car, undamaged, and a drink cup in that car seat still had liquid in it. Shannon Elliott reportedly told investigators that Turner was alive an hour before responders tried to revive him. But when she was asked about his other injuries, like a black eye, she claimed that was from falling. She claimed the leg scratches were from riding his bike. But prosecutors argued none of the bruises on Turner's stomach were there before he left to his mom's house. Then everything changed when investigators found surveillance video at Elliott's job. After combing through the video, they said they saw Elliott being abusive to the 5-year-old for 40 days. Investigators say the footage showed Elliott slapping, kicking, punching, biting, and strangling Turner. She was ultimately charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of aggravated child abuse. But the case never went to trial. Instead, she entered a plea of no contest.
Ms. Elliott, you're here today charged with a number of very serious crimes, including felony murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated child abuse for involving torture. It has been indicated that you have agreed to enter a plea of no contest, but have you seen or been shown a copy of the charges against you and talked it over with your lawyer, and you and Mr. Vaughn discussed the range of punishment you're facing as well as any possible defenses you might have?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's indicated that you want to enter this plea of no contest or nolo contendere. That simply means you understand what the state's evidence is going to be. You're not going to admit you did anything wrong, but you're not going to deny it or contest it. And the state will then tell me what their evidence would be if this case went to trial, and I'll use that factual basis to find you guilty of these charges according to this agreement. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand, however, that you have a right to plead not guilty to all charges and to have a speedy and public trial by jury?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you would have the right to have a lawyer and to have one appointed, as I've done with a public defender?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and your lawyer could confront that you would be presumed to be innocent until such time, if ever, the state proved your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of all 12 jurors, and their verdict will have to be unanimous before you could be convicted of anything? Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and your lawyer could confront and cross-examine every witness the state called to testify against you, and you could bring in your own witnesses by the use of a subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that you would be presumed to be innocent at trial? You would not have to testify or prove anything, and no inference of guilt would arise because you did not testify at your own trial.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial and you were found guilty of a crime, you could appeal the conviction and the sentence imposed to the Court of Criminal Appeals and have a lawyer appointed to help you with that appeal?
Sir.
Do you understand that by entering this plea of no contest, you're waiving your right to a trial and to an appeal? And all I'm going to do is approve what your lawyer has worked out, which, as was pointed out, means that you will be sentenced on first-degree murder to life in prison with the possibility of parole. And then you will also have 20-year sentences on these other two cases as well. You understand that?
Sir.
And she was sentenced to life in prison for her role in Turner's death.
Inside a Cheatham County courtroom, a team of prosecutors laid out a disturbing series of events describing alleged repeated abuse a little boy suffered at the hands of his father's live-in girlfriend.
Today, a judge handed down the woman's sentence after she was found guilty of murdering the 5-year-old little boy last year. News 2's Alicia Wimberly is at the WKRN.com alert desk with new information tonight. Alicia.
Yeah, Bob and Haley, the details are brutal, and the judge in this case said he's never seen any crime just like this. The prosecutors in this case described the horrific scene from 79-day video evidence of Shannon Lee Elliott torturing and killing 5-year-old Turner Simpkins, her boyfriend's son. In July of last year, police went to Elliott's home and found 5-year-old Turner not breathing. They say he had extensive bruising, lacerations, and bite marks. The court says his abuse lasted over 20 minutes and he bled out internally.
At 1:35:43, Shannon lays back on the couch, lifts her leg into the air, and kicks down on Turner, causing him to bounce upward from the couch. Turner is visibly crying and directed to the corner.
Now, the judge in this case said based on what he heard today in the courtroom, it's unlikely Elliott will ever see the outside world again based on what happened to this child.
I've sentenced people to life in prison and other more serious situations in the form of a death penalty case that I've had, and I've never heard a more horrific statement of facts in my entire life.
Elliott will serve at least 51 years until she's eligible for parole.
A 5-year-old is dead, and a woman behind bars tonight charged with that child's murder. Andy Cordan has recently returned from Cheatham County with the latest. Andy.
Hey there, Mark. You know, this is 5-year-old Turner Simpkins. Now, he died 7 months ago. And this past Monday, the girlfriend of the child's biological father was indicted for the murder.
He was the sweetest, kindest, most gentle little person you could ever meet.
This family member, who prefers not to be shown, describes 5-year-old Turner Simpkins as a bright light.
Pretty cutest little blue eyes. He wouldn't hurt us so. He loved all of his little characters, and he loved playing outside, and he was a daddy's boy. And
on July 23rd, the child is found dead. The TBI now calls it a homicide, saying that the little boy died of chronic blunt force injuries and malnourishment. On March 4th, Shannon Elliott is charged with the child's death. According to investigators, the 26-year-old Springfield woman was the girlfriend of Turner's father.
She said this was an accident, and then we find out. I just found out like Monday evening that it was no accident. It's hard, very hard when you trust someone that repeatedly lies to you.
What would you say to that lady?
How could you do this? What did he do to deserve to be treated and tortured like that? Who can humanly possibly do that?
Very sad story now. Shannon Elliott is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of aggravated child abuse, neglect, and endangerment. Let's send it back to you.
And we'll follow that case, Andy. Thank you. Shannon Elliott is in the Cheatham County Jail on a $1 million bond tonight.
New information tonight about a disturbing child abuse case. A man has been charged in his son's death more than a year after it happened.
His girlfriend is already serving prison time in the 5-year-old boy's death. News 2's Alicia Wimberly is at the WKRN.com alert desk with new details. Alicia.
That's right, Bob and Haley. A Cheatham County grand jury indicted Austin Simpkins, the father of Turner Simpkins. Investigators found 33-year-old Shannon Lee Elliott, Austin's girlfriend at the time, severely abused his son, Turner. Police say he died from chronic blunt force trauma and malnourishment back in 2023. Now, their investigation found he was abused for months beforehand. Elliott was found guilty of first-degree murder charges and was sentenced to 51 years in prison last summer. Now, investigators say Austin knew the abuse was happening and never made any attempt to stop it. Austin was arrested and booked into the Cheatham County Jail today. Austin is charged with aggravated child neglect, child abuse, and child neglect endangerment. Bob and Haley.
Okay, let me clarify this because you actually posted a good question. That's why I love my live chat. Type y'all questions in the chat or even type your personal thoughts in the chat. But that's why I love the live chat. You said it bothers you when a person gets a life sentence, they never really serve life. A life sentence should be where you remain in prison until you are taken out in a body bag. And shout out to Patricia. Much love, and I appreciate that. And I would say to add to that, especially when it comes to horrible crimes against children, against humanity like this. Like there's nothing worse than doing something to babies. Nothing worse, in my opinion. But here's the thing. When it comes to that, they don't mean it as life because their terminology and what a life sentence entails is they're talking about natural life, which is generally 20 years. So life without the possibility of parole is a whole nother thing. So if they say without the possibility of parole, then that means you might not be able to get out of prison at all. With the possibility of parole means you could possibly stand in front of a parole board and be granted that you can be released to some extent. So just to kind of clarify that, in this case, she's going to get that opportunity. So if she serves the full 20 years, probably not. But it's still nothing's going to bring this kid back. You're just taking years away from her life. And what is she going to learn? Like, I don't think people like this are ever going to learn anything. I just think stupid is going to be stupid. I think stupid is going to always be stupid. Let me say that again, because I like that. I believe that stupid is going to always be stupid. Okay? Now, as far as the biological father, I think it's just as egregious that he knew and didn't do anything and allowed this girlfriend to abuse this boy over a large period of time. When they said like 79 days, you're talking about like almost 4 months, maybe even longer. So if there's evidence against him too as well, then, I mean, how much time can you give him? His legacy is gone, can never be returned. I'd say, 10 to 15 years? Since he wasn't the one actually doing the killing of his son, but provided it and made the atmosphere for it to happen. I mean, nothing's ever going to make this right. Stupid is as stupid does. Stupid will always be stupid. But RIP to that young soul, to that little boy. May his soul rest in peace. and we hope to get justice against him. So if we do an update on this, it'll only be to just give what his sentence is, unless something else comes out in this story, more evidence. But we'll keep you guys posted. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, AFC Podcast. Thank you guys so much.